everyone, my name is Mahana, and today I'm going to talk to you about memory. I'm sure you all have a basic idea of what memory is. There are some memories that we hold dear to us, like fun times with loved ones, and then there are random things that we can't forget. Or maybe your parents have told you to memorize their phone number, or a teacher has told you to memorize facts. But have you ever walked into a room and smelled something familiar, but you can't quite put your finger on it? That's memory too. I'm going to talk to you exactly about what happens when you encounter a situation and record it in your memory. But first off, I'm going to give you a challenge. See this list of words? Try to remember as many words as possible. At the end of the video, we'll see how many words you can remember. A lot of what we know about memory comes from research done on one patient in particular. That patient is HM, a young man who suffered from severe and debilitating epilepsy all his life. Epilepsy is when your brain malfunctions and causes you to have seizures. As a last resort, doctors decided to remove the part of the brain that was giving him seizures, the hippocampus. Thankfully, HM lived and his seizures stopped, but he would never be the same. When he woke up, HM couldn't form any new memories, which is to say that while he remembered his past, he was constantly forgetting the present. William Scoville, who was the doctor who moved that part of his brain, and another doctor, Brenda Milner, studied HM all his life. HM's real name was Henry Molaison. You can go give him a quick Google if you want to learn more. Similarly, another patient who had an even more extreme case, he would forget every couple moments and only remembered his wife. His name is Clive Waring, and you can actually watch some of his videos to see what I'm talking about. So, what is memory exactly? Well, memory is information that you have encoded and stored, ready for retrieval. Thus, there are 3 steps to making a memory. Encoding, which is undergoing the experience itself, such as trying a new sports trick. Then, the memory is stored, and depending on what kind of memory it is stored in different parts of your brain. Keeping with the sports trick metaphor, this would likely be stored in your cerebellum, because the cerebellum is responsible for coordination and movement memory. Then, it is retrieved. This would be you showing off the trick to your friends after committing it to memory. Now that you know how memories are made, let's talk briefly about different types of memory. As you can see in this chart, there's lots of specific types of memory, but to keep it simple, let's only talk about 3 overarching types. The 2 main types of memory that you may or may not have heard of before are long-term and short-term memory. Short-term memory is also called working memory and can be just a few seconds long. It's what lets you remember last night's dinner or other small facts like that. It's often part of our multitasking, even though multitasking is not a real thing. When you forget what you were going to say or do, it's short-term memory loss. Long-term memory, as you can see, has many types within itself, but is essentially just indefinitely stored short-term memories, or short-term memories that you've in some way decided to keep. This includes the sports trick, how you remember facts for school, or key moments of your life. These are the big differences between the 2. Short-term memory is short and often wrong, long-term memory is often long and more reliable. There's also technically a 3rd group that's called sensory memory, which is all about memories from sense, like how your favorite dessert tastes, in my case, flan, or that mystery smell from earlier in the video. So, let me ask you, what type of memory wasn't working properly for HM and Clive Waring? This is a bit tricky. If you guessed long-term memory, you'd be correct. While they could remember things in the moment, neither Clive nor Henry could properly store that information for the long term. Nice memory. Here are some memory tactics that I have that will eventually come in handy. First of all, low-stakes quizzing has been proven to really help you commit things to memory. I recommend what they call the blank paper test, in which you take a blank piece of paper and write down everything you remember for what you're studying for. When you're finished, you see what you missed. Next, it's really important that you take breaks as you study and memorize things, as well as alternating subjects. Study math for 20 minutes, then history for the next 20. When you have to remember a lot of information at once, grouping the items together under a common idea makes it easier to recall. You can also come up with shortcuts to remember things like acronyms or put things to a rhythm. Lastly, practice makes perfect. Deliberative practice is what best commits things to memory. Great job in making it to the end of this video. How many words did you remember? I know you missed at least 2. Go back to the beginning of this video. Is dollar one of the words? What about canoe? They're not. Did you think that dollar was one of the words? If you did, it was probably because of your brain's association with the word dollar and bank. Did you remember the top of the list and the bottom of the list more than the middle? It's actually been proven by studies that humans are more likely to memorize the top and bottom of the list. try it next time when you go grocery shopping. Thanks for listening. I hope you learned a little bit more about memory and how to memorize things better.